Russian President Vladimir Putin, as mentioned, was among the few world leaders who attended the opening ceremony of the Winter Olympics in Beijing. He was seen watching Ukrainian athletes as Russian forces appear to be moving closer to potentially mounting a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. President Biden is sending thousands of U.S. troops to Eastern Europe as a show of force. This as European allies ramp up their push for diplomacy, scheduling meetings with Putin and Ukrainian President Zelenskyy next week. Christina Ruffini has the very latest from the White House. Christina, good morning.
Good morning, Dana. Well, the lighthouse is lit up behind me in honor of America's Olympic athletes. That's because the U.S. is participating in that diplomatic boycott you mentioned earlier. But the real games are playing out in Eastern Europe, where Russia, the U.S., and NATO are all fighting for influence. In a precise and very public performance, Russian and Belarusian forces move in formation across frozen fields just north of the Ukrainian border. A military dress rehearsal for an opening night that may or may not come. American officials say they do not believe Russian President Vladimir Putin has decided if he will move against Ukraine. But a full-scale invasion would likely begin with airstrikes and long-range artillery, followed by airborne and armored advances on several fronts. But Putin is unlikely to launch an invasion during the Winter Olympics, where he is one of the few world leaders in attendance. His high-profile meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping ended in a joint statement that included one of Putin's key demands, an end to NATO expansion.
We strongly prefer that Russia choose the path of diplomacy and dialogue, but if it does not, we are fully prepared for the alternative.
Meanwhile, Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with his Polish counterpart, as American forces are expected to arrive in Poland as soon as this weekend. And 8,200 additional troops are on standby to reinforce NATO allies should Russia decide to put on more than just a show. Now, American officials are estimating that if Russia does invade, it could mean up to 100,000 civilian casualties and up to 5 million refugees. However, so far, both Russia and the U.S. are saying they're still willing to pursue diplomacy. Jeff?
Christina, thank you.